In addition to being a successful actor and director,
legendary filmmaker Rob Reiner spent his life telling stories about family, love, and human connection. But in December 2025, those themes collided tragically inside his own home when he and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were found dead in what authorities later described as a homicide investigation involving someone close to them. The night before their deaths, the couple attended a Christmas party hosted by Conan O'Brien, where witnesses reported a tense and highly visible argument between Rob and his son, Nick Reiner, whose long and public struggle with addiction had strained the family for years. Guests later described Nick's behavior as alarming, with raised voices and visible agitation that drew attention across the room, while Rob confronted the situation directly and Michelle remained by his side. Not long after, Rob and Michelle left the party together, a departure that appeared intentional, as if they were trying to de-escalate the situation privately. Later that evening, Rob spoke calmly with longtime collaborator Eric Idle about future projects, including Spinal Tap 2, giving no indication of immediate distress, though friends later recalled Rob privately admitting he was afraid of his son. In the early morning hours of December 14th, investigators believe Rob and Michelle were killed inside their Brentwood home. There were no signs of forced entry, no alarms, and no reports of disturbance from neighbors, suggesting the attacker had access to the home and knew how to move through it quietly. Around 3 p.m. that afternoon, their daughter Romy Reiner went to check on them and discovered both parents unresponsive, prompting an emergency call and a rapid police response that secured the house as a homicide scene. Investigators soon focused on Nick Reiner after learning he had left the home shortly after the estimated time of death and checked into the Pierside Hotel around 4 a.m., where staff described him as calm and unremarkable, though blood later found in the room tied the stay to the investigation. Surveillance footage later showed Nick moving through the city that day, including a routine stop at a gas station, before police arrested him that evening near Exposition Park without resistance. Forensic analysis determined that Rob and Michelle died from multiple sharp force injuries inflicted at close range, with evidence suggesting sustained action rather than a single impulsive strike, leading prosecutors to charge Nick Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree murder, along with special circumstances for multiple victims. Charges that carry the possibility of life without parole or the death penalty under California law. Nick's first court appearance days later was tightly controlled, cameras barred, as he appeared in custody wearing a protective smock, spoke only to acknowledge his rights, and postponed entering a plea while represented by high-profile defense attorney Alan Jackson, a move that immediately fueled speculation about how such an expensive defense was being funded. As legal proceedings moved forward, public attention returned to Nick's past statements about his relationship with his father, in which he described feeling emotionally disconnected while growing up, drifting toward addiction as a teenager, entering rehabilitation by age 15, and cycling through periods of relapse, homelessness, and recovery despite years of financial and emotional support from Rob and Michelle. Their efforts included collaborating with Nick on the film Being Charlie, a project rooted in his struggles, which briefly brought stability before another relapse unraveled progress once again. In the days following the deaths, Rob and Michelle's surviving children issued a brief statement expressing devastation and asking for privacy, while Hollywood reflected on Rob Reiner's legacy as a filmmaker known not for spectacle, but for deeply human stories like The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, and When Harry Met Sally. As tributes poured in and the legal case continued behind closed doors, the contrast between Reiner's public legacy and the private tragedy facing his family remained stark, leaving unanswered questions about what truly happened inside that quiet home before dawn, questions that now sit at the center of a case that will ultimately be decided not by speculation, but in a courtroom.